Welcome Exiles to 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur and my day 1 recap, including also what we know about the league mechanics so far, and with we I mean myself and my team I'm working with. Now, there are less than an hour left until first day, and I had massive progress. Day 1 had been really amazing, and I want to cover that in a bit in more detail, but I first wanted to share the league mechanic and what is great about it. And I guess what we learned so far, what we figured out, how it works. So first of all, the league mechanic seems to be really unrewarding up front. Either that or I'm just not committing enough risk and trying to get more rewards out of my stuff. But the shipments have rarely given me anything. If I gotten rare items, they usually been worse than what I already had, so I just put them in the disenchanter. If I got currency, it's a mix of different bubblegum currency that hasn't really been a bigger impact. So far the shipping is more of a requirement to unlock further upgrades more than a rewarding thing. Now, the disenchanting, I've started on site. The mapping I haven't even touched because I just think it's going to be the same issue with the shipping. It's not going to be really rewarding until later on when you have a higher rank. So this is unrewarding early, but very expensive. It needs a ton of gold, like several thousand pieces of gold just to get upgrades done. You need a ton of ores, you need a ton of resources that you're gonna generate with the farms, with the smelting for these upgrades, and it's big steps. And but it's once you understand how it works, it gets very simple to understand. So when I first entered, I tried to kind of rush it to rank 2 to get Faustus unlocked, because Faustus Black Market is actually insane, and I get to that in a moment. But first of all, how to get to this. Assume you haven't touched league mechanic at all. The first thing you want to do is you want to find an Orichalcum ore encounter. Orichalcum ore is this thing, and it's a beyond shrine that you need to kill, and you need to kill a few beyond enemies. Once you've done that, once you have cleared your, you've gotten any amount of Orichalcum ore, you then need to go into the league mechanic, you need to talk to Ralph, and you need to hire a mining rank 1 worker. This rank 1 worker, we're gonna be taking over here, and you're gonna make your mining station on rank 1 as well. Once you have a rank 1 mining station, you're gonna assign your worker. So you click here, you click on the plus, you assign your worker to Orichalcum ore, and then you're gonna need to wait a moment for him to mine the Orichalcum ore. Once the Orichalcum ore is mined, you can then upgrade your town to the next rank, which unlocks Faustus. Or I think either the first one was Faustus, or you first need to make a smelter, you need to make bars, and then Faustus. But once this single step of hire a worker, unlock their station, hire the worker, and then upgrade is the entire process, just that it gets more expensive. So I started here, I hired my first worker, I sent him to the mines. I then went and built the smelter, I hired a worker for the smelter, and I sent him to the smelting. I built the farm, I hired a worker for the farm, I sent him to the farm. And I just keep repeating this process, and whenever I'm able to upgrade, I upgrade things. And these upgrades get expensive. For example, this one. Rank 7 farming, yo, just 30k gold. So this is very steep, and you will need a lot of resources to upgrade this town to the higher levels, but by the looks of it, it will be worth it, and the rewards will improve. You're gonna unlock a better runesmith table, you're gonna be unlocking the recombinating, and you're gonna be unlocking the Kalguur map device. And the shipping, this is of course also a big part about the mechanic that we need to take a look at. The shipping is also very interesting. I've noticed two key things about the shipping. The first thing is that if you ship towards a Kalguuran port, for example, Ribbonfell and Pondium, those will give you as part of the rewards a rune. A few runes will always be in a shipment that is successful and has, I think, a decent amount of shipping value to either of Kalguuran ports, any ones you're gonna unlock. While if you send to a Kalui port, you're not gonna be getting any runes. And these favorite resources, those seem to be early on. It's like a few corn, a few wheat, maybe a bit of ore, but in a decent state. And it's gonna very quickly rise to absurd numbers, like 2.4k crimson ore and 0.96k orichalcum. So you're gonna be needing a lot more resources as you're going further. But sending them their favorite resources rewards you, and the reward seems to be a guaranteed unique item. And I assume as you go to further away ports, like the further away they are on the map, the better the unique's becoming, and the more resources they demand for the unique, the better the unique will be, but that is speculation. So when you have the reward window, the overall that seems to be mostly bubblegum currency, not that much. And now that I've sent here the wheat, now they have the wheat, but they still want the ore gods. So I would need to select my crew, just like with other things. So let's assign a good crew here. Then look, do I have enough ore gods? I don't. I guess I can send ore gods there. Have I another port where I can send stuff? Let's see here. 2.4 crimson. So we're gonna look. Do I have... No, I don't. But I have a lot of here. So we send, let's say, 2000 here. 400, 400 here. This is crimson ore. Then we want orichalcum. So let's say 200 here. And 760 here. Then we have orichalcum. And then the thaumaturgic dust seems to be a multiplier. Now we need to be very careful because, as you can see here, it very quickly increases the risk meter. So this is a 31 risk. This means this is very likely the higher the chance for severe outcome, which is maybe a boss fight or just not being there. So I'm rather reduce the risk, reduce the multiplier, and go for something like yeah, 25% chance. That seems reasonable. 1 in 4 that it goes bad. Then I can click on done. I select the port I want to send it to. And I set sail. And hope it's gonna be successful. But yeah, that's all about the league mechanic we know so far. Hopefully I'm gonna get good resources there. So how did it go for me? Well, for me it went pretty well into pretty decent into pretty well. The campaign was within the margin of what I wanted to be. I was hoping to get a 3-hour campaign, and I usually expect the League Start to be 3 hours slower than I intended to be. So having a 3 hour 30 Act 10 with all passive points done was really great. We had issues with crashes in Act 2 and Act 4, so those took a little bit longer than we wanted to. And afterwards, first early maps went really great. We had a good chunk of lucky drops, a good chunk of decent drops, and we gotten 2 tamings very early for me, and then we gotten 2 more tamings very early for my buddy Fell. Then I also gotten a good quiver very early, and I even gotten a 6-link omen drop. So an omen of linking, I got it dropped, and I used it on Harry's Aya to guarantee myself a 6-link body armor. So I was pretty well set. Now, I had this, and I pushed into T16s, and towards the end of the initial push, maps got really hard, and I kept dying, I kept losing XP, and it got tiring, so I had to stop for the day. And on the next day, I finished the push, or well, not the next day, after a few hours of sleep, finished the next push. So now I have a playtime on about 17 hours with about 49 minutes, which I guess some of that is downtime, so let's say 17 hours playtime, about 6 hours of sleep time, and 49 hours of downtime, meaning I'm almost at my 24 hours of playtime. Overall, I would say really solid league start. I have an insane bow, I have insane gear, I have a truth, the rare gear that I get from Faustus, which I forgot to mention. This black market gives a really good, decent gear. High life resistances, and movements, high life movement speed or high life resistances or prefix. You get a good amount of decent rare gear from here if you just buy a few. And also he does seem to also hand out a few uniques here or there. I'm very happy with how my league start turned out, and I can't wait to push further tomorrow as my Atlas is done. I have almost all, but I have a few unique maps missing. I have 2 Void Stones, I have 3 favorite slots. I've set up my Atlas to farm Ritual, which is absolutely insane, being able to drop Omens now, and including Affliction enemies, which are very deadly, but the Ritual seems very profitable as well. Now all that being said, don't need to make the video longer, it has to be. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow.